Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this video, we are going to solve another psychology past paper. This is paper 1 from February March 2021. The paper's component is 1-2 and it is for 1 hour 30 minutes. So the first question from this paper says, from the study by Dement and Kleitman, name the stage of sleep when participants recalled most of their dreams. So it is for 1 mark, so you just simply need to write down the name of the phase. So from the study, we know that it was the REM phase of the sleep. Now its part B says, outline one dream reported by a participant that had vertical eye movement. So from the study, you can write any dream that had vertical eye movement. So let's say I can write that one participant reported a dream of standing at the bottom of a cliff, operating a hoist and looking at climbers on the cliff. So this is a whole full dream which one of the participants reported. Now part C says, outline one conclusion from this study. So you can write any conclusion, but it has to be a detailed conclusion because the question is for 2 marks. So let's say I can write that dreams are not instant events, but they are experienced in real time. You can write any other conclusion from any other part of the study as well. For example, you can write that people can judge the duration of their time in REM with accuracy, and you can also write how eye movements during sleep do correspond with the content of the dream, and you can write about any conclusion, but just make sure that it is a whole complete detailed conclusion from the study. Now, question number 2 says, in the study by Pilyavin et al., subway Samaritans, one observer watched passengers in the critical area name 2 variables this observer recorded about these passengers. So you just need to write any 2 variables. So for example, there was race and location of the participants in the subway. You can also write number of individuals was also counted, number of number of how many people came to help, and you can also write about sex was also observed. So these were the variables which were recorded about the passengers. Now part B says, Pilyavin et al. Investigated the idea of diffusion of responsibility. So diffusion of responsibility over here is the key phrase. Now you need to outline what is meant by diffusion of responsibility. So again, from the psychology being investigated part in the background part of the study, we know that diffusion of responsibility means that people are less likely to help in an emergency when there are more people around, as they believe that other people will help out instead. So this is a full explanation of what is meant by diffusion of responsibility. Now part 3 says, outline one finding that did not support diffusion of responsibility in this study. So again, from the results part of the study, we know that the 7-person group responded faster than the 3-person group. So this is one of the findings, one of the results from this study, which does not support diffusion of responsibility, because diffusion of responsibility says that the group which has a larger number of participants or larger number of people is less likely to help. But one of the findings suggested or showed that the group with more people, with 7 people, was faster in helping as compared to the group with 3-person only. Now question number 3 says, explain one or more real-world applications of the study by Bandura et al. Do not refer to more than 3 applications in your answer. So okay, you can write either 1, 2 or 3. So you can write about how parents can use role models to show their children helpful behavior, and children are most likely to imitate the behavior of the model shown to them. Or you can also use role models for role models can also be used to show pro-social behavior. Okay, then moving on to the next question. It says that from the study by Canli, all brain scans and emotions, name 2 characteristics that were used to match the foil scenes and the previously viewed scenes. So foil scenes were the new scenes which were shown to them in their test part of the study when they came back for the follow-up. So there were 2 characteristics that were used to match the new scenes, the foil scenes, and the scenes that were shown to the participants previously when they came for the actual study. Those 2 were, one was the valence rating, and the second one was the arousal rating. Now question number 4 part B says, describe the participants used in this study. It is for 3 marks, so you are going to get 1 mark for each correct point. You can use any, you can write about any 3 points. So let's say I write about there were females, they were right-handed, healthy females. So these 3 are my characteristics, 1, 2 and 3. Now part C says, explain why this study is from the biological approach. So for this, you're going to get 1 mark for a partial explanation and 2 marks for a full explanation, which links your explanation to the biological approach. So you can write that Canli was investigating the brain function, or you can write Canli was investigating the function of amygdala. So you're going to get 1 mark for this, and for the rest of the explanation you can write that Canli was investigating the brain function or the function of the amygdala, which means they were looking at how biology affects our emotions. So this is the second part, for which you are going to get the second mark, because you are going to mention the word biology over here. Now question number 5 says, in the study by Milgram, there was a victim, learner, and a participant, teacher. Describe the procedure the victim followed to give feedback to the participant during the learning task. So you have to write about the learning task, and since the question mentions describe, so you are going to get 1 mark per correct point related to the procedures, and you have to write 4 correct points related to the procedure to get full marks. You can write that the responses, you can write about the responses that these were predetermined responses. There tended to be 3 wrong answers to 1 correct answer, because the the learner already had decided with the help of the experimenter that they are going to give 3 wrong answers and then 1 correct answer. And then no vocals were to be made on the 300 volts, so no vocal response was heard up until shock level 300. When 300 volts was given, the learner had to pound on the wall. Now question number 6 says, describe the psychology being investigated in the study by Pepperberg that used Alex the parrot as a participant. It is for 5 marks, and you need to describe the psychology being investigated, so you are going to get 1 mark for per correct point made. So let's say you can write that social learning. You need to remember that Pepperberg was from the social psychology part, so the psychology being investigated is based on social learning. So social learning is when someone observes the behavior of someone else or pays attention to someone else's behavior. So you're going to get 1 mark for this point, because this is you identifying the social learning point from the psychology being investigated. And then further you can write that what happens when they initially observe, they then retain this information for later use. The organism or the person must feel capable of replicating the observed behavior. So this is basically the requirement of social learning, that the person who is observing who is observing a certain behavior should feel capable of replicating that observed behavior. Only then it is possible for that particular person to replicate the behavior. So feeling capable is an important keyword over here. And then further you can write that operant conditioning, because operant conditioning was another part of the psychology being investigated, so you can shift to that as well. That operant conditioning is when an animal or person learns by the behavior or you can write learns by the behavior's consequence. So if a behavior is followed by a reward, they are more likely to replicate it. So this is the full description of the psychology being investigated from the study by Pepperberg. Now moving on to the next question, it says from the study by Yamamoto et al., outline one aim of the study, and since it is for 2 marks, so you need to outline a full detailed aim. So let's say I can write that one of the aim was to see if chimpanzees can respond to the needs of another chimpanzee with targeted helping. So targeted helping is a keyword over here, and this is how you're going to get full marks for this particular question. Now part B says outline one methodological weakness of this study. So you need to reflect back to the method of Yamamoto et al. So you can write that the task lacked mundane realism. So you are going to get 1 mark for identifying the weakness, and then you need to explain and link it back to the study for the 2nd mark, that why did it lack mundane realism. So the study, the task or the procedure lacked mundane realism because the task of giving a stick or straw to another chimpanzee is unlikely to happen, because it is not something which the chimpanzees usually do in their daily lives out in the wild. So this is something which is unlikely to happen in real life. Okay, so part C now says that suggest one real-world application based on the procedure of this study. So again, you need to reflect to the procedure of this study and then suggest any one real-world application. So you're going to get the 1st mark for suggesting a real-world application, and the 2nd mark is going to be for telling how that particular real-world application can be achieved. So for example, you can write that the procedure could be used in schools to teach about helping behavior. So 1 mark for this suggestion. And then how? teachers could set up a similar scenario so that children have to interact and understand others' needs. Okay, I left one line at the beginning by mistake, so if you are not leaving one line, so the answer is going to be completed in the given lines. Now question number 8 says, outline what is meant by the nature-nurture debate using any examples, and do not refer to the study by Schechter and Singer in your answer. So you need to exclude that from your example, and then you need to describe what is meant by nature and nurture, and then you need to give examples to explain further that what does it mean by the whole debate. So it is for 4 marks, so you are going to get 2 marks for explaining what is meant by nature and giving example for it, and 2 marks for nurture and giving example for it. So let's just start the answer by nature. So nature means a behavior that we are born with. It is genetic. So for example, the boy in Savitra and Silverman was born with genetics that caused him schizophrenia. This can be one explanation for schizophrenia. Now by nurture, it means a behavior that has been learned by an organism. So it can be an animal or a person, a human, after birth, organism after birth. So basically nurture is something you learn from your surroundings or environment. For example, in Pepperberg, Alex the parrot learned the concept of same and different. This was something it learned from its environment and not by birth. Now part B says, just a minute. Okay. Part B says, explain how one result from the study by Schechter and Singer supports the nature side of the nature versus nurture debate, and how one result supports the nurture side of the nature versus nurture debate. So you need to mention the debate as well as explain how it supports each side. So you can write in nature side that in all of the epinephrine conditions, the pulse rate increased for all participants. So this was the result from the study. Now you need to explain it that this is a biological reaction as it is a hormone being released into the bloodstream, and humans are naturally made to react to epinephrine in this way. So this is something humans have to do naturally. It happens naturally. So now it says result that supports the nurture side. So in the euphoria condition, the misinformed group produced the highest activity index score compared to all others. So this is a result from this study. Now you need to explain how this particular result supports the nurture side of the debate. It supports because this is because the participants may have been choosing environmental cues to explain their feelings. Environmental cues basically refer to the instructions which were given to them, the false instructions which were given to them by the researcher. They could have been using their environmental cues to explain their feelings, so they acted in this way as a result of external forces. Now question number 9 says evaluate this study by Laney et al. In terms of 2 strengths and 2 weaknesses, and at least one of your evaluation points must be about independent measures. So you need to mention the point about independent measures, and it can either be counted as a strength or as a weakness. So let's start. I can write that one. Okay, I'm just writing this answer in points. You guys obviously need to write this in paragraph forms. So first strength can be that it was a laboratory experiment. So it used high levels of controls, and participants, one of the control was that participants were not aware of the aim. You can mention other examples of controls as well. External variables were avoided. So what happens is this increases the validity, the internal validity of the study. Second can be it used standardized procedure, such as same questionnaires were given to both the groups, and the FHS questionnaire was given prior to and after the study. So this increases the replicability, which in turn increases the test-retest reliability of the study. Now moving on to the weaknesses. One weakness, we can use independent measures as one of the weaknesses. So independent measures, it can be that true comparisons cannot be made as both the groups had different participants. So there is a risk of independent variables, and there is a high chance that people who actually loved asparagus as a child ended up in the love group. Hence, false memory cannot be tested. Now, second weakness can be the artificial environment, or you can also use deception as a weakness, that the participants were deceived as they were not told about the aim of the study. So this goes against the ethical guidelines of a research study. I am writing about artificial environment. So the task was something which the participants do not encounter in real life. Many high controls and lab, which again makes the scenario very different from real life. So what happens is the ecological validity of the study decreases.